Alright, muri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare ipo pano paZim News update apo patinoda kupa mafirst hand update anonga ari kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. So tisati tapinda munhauhwa dzedu dzemayuthi tira kuti timbonzwe Temba Muliswa sezvo zvatiri kuziva kuti Temba Muliswa ndiye anga ari kukurudzira corruption akaudzwa naTsenenga mutoti no President Emmerson Mnangagwa havasi permanently friend vanochinja vanogona kuti vachiindicata right vachida kutena left nhasi tiri kuona ana wikino chivhacho wakungosiyiwa kunze sort of like etc ana kudata gore apa hat pari zvino nditungwarara muri yeZimbabwe sezvo zvatiri kuona kuti tungwarara ari kusimbisa haasi kunyara kusimbisa 2030 agenda sezvo zvatiri kuona kuti ana kudata gore vari kuteverera mashure so tiri kuona Temba Muliswa pari zvino akuda kutonga sort of like ari kudzoka kuvanhu but tiri kuona kuti zvinhu hazvisina kumira zvakanaka because ari kutaura iye rekedze tinzwe nhaurwa yaari kutaura panapa munyase kuzvinzwira but tichibva ipapo tichaenda kunhauhwa yedu yemayuthi mayuthi ndofunga muri kuzwa mayuthi mubato reZANU-PF vari kujamukira kutoti no mari idzi dziri kushandiswa imimi ndimuda kushandisa President Emmerson Mnangagwa mabasa asiriwo because tiri kuona kuti mari dzemuri kushandisa kunge muchisaplya mukutoti President Emmerson Mnangagwa wawedzere kutowengwa nevanhu because mari idzodzo dziri kunzi dzinofanira kushanda kudevelopa nyika but imi muri kushandisa zvemunoda muchifindura futi wanhu ndozvikwedza kutaura ndo nhauhwa iri kunyanya kumakirwa wikino chivhayo so rekedza tinzwe Temba Muliswa achitaura then tozvoenda kune vechidiki vari kutaura nhauhwa mayuthi vari kutaura nhauhwa iyoyo rekedza tinzwe Temba achitaura pano.
Ndicho. One of the things that I want to educate the Zimbabweans about the members of parliament who they elect is that despite them being the ones who pass the budget for every expenditure of the fiscus, there are a group of people who suffer. And I say so because when I was in parliament, I was their leader in terms of fighting for the welfare. Fortunately for me, I did not really live from parliamentary revenue. No, I came in as a businessman and decided to represent people. The remuneration, so that you know, which is a shame to you. You expect people to work hard, you expect people not to be compromised, but that depends on their salaries, their remuneration. First of all, they're paid $300 per month in US dollars, 13,000 zig, and they're given an allowance of $50 per sitting. That's if there is a sitting. The benchmark has been done by parliament to go to various countries, Kenya, Uganda, and all that, South Africa. And you look at the average being about 2,500 of what the other members of parliament are paid. So when one then says that, you know, they're useless and they're compromised, you also have to look at what they get paid. They're given a housing allowance of $40,000, yet ministers are given $300,000 and all that, even more. They've got one car for 5 years. Ministers are given as many cars, one off-road and the other one, which is, which is not off-road. So with that, I thought Zimbabweans today, you would know that your legislators are paid $300 per month, 13,000 zig and 50 sitting allowance. That's it, that's a sitting allowance. How do they survive? How do they represent you well? How do they do their work without being compromised? Whenever something happens for MPs, which betters their welfare, there's a lot of noise. The MPs themselves, unfortunately, they pass the budget.
Muri yeZimbabwe ndiwa Temba Muliswa ava vakudzokera because munhu anorealize akanyasa kuti matables anotena ine matables ari kutena bijana sezvo zvatiri kuona kuti President Emmerson Mnangagwa vakuitonga vachidududza kudzoka kumashure nenhauhwa ya 2030 agenda iyaya so tava kuti tinzwe mayuthi panapa vanenge vachitaura nhauhwa dzavanenge vachitaura so tinongoti kana uri mutsausa bhano usina kusubscribe kulike nekushare kuti patinenge tichiisa manext update musazorasikirwe nezvinenge chiitika muno munyika yeZimbabwe ndoti ngatisangane munyuzi dzinotevera.
Ndotenda zvikuru hangu just for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Right. Ndinotenda, thank you very much. I do appreciate tavizitirwa
as young people, we should remain resolute and we should stand on the point that we defend our democracy and we defend the gains of our mothers and fathers and our grandfathers of bringing freedom in Zimbabwe, and also fight then later on for economic freedom within Zimbabwe. And I think as I conclude and even as I finish, I want to say, comrades, we have a role also to show up, even to give solidarity to our comrades, Emmanuel Sitima, Takunda Muka, and all prisoners of consciousness within the cells of ZANU PF. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. We appreciate it. And I think this is a progressive space. Thanks, Ango Gerard, and thanks even to the whole diaspora community for creating these platforms. We hope these platforms will be spread within different places, and we can have more and more of these conversations. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Wow, thank you very much, Nkoma, for that passionate, contribution. I do appreciate you. This right here is a testament that, the country is not dead. When we have young people who can articulate themselves, in the way that, you've just done, it's quite, exhilarating, and it's quite refreshing to know good you guys, exist. This is why we do what we do. I'm here, I'm sitting here, not because I just like to open a space and have a conversation, but I'm here because I know that, there are young people like you who have got, the country at heart. I was in your position, back in the day, right? But knowing that, there are people like you who are right there occupying, those footsteps is something, that is quite, liberating. And thank you very much, for that, conversation, that you've just given us. Mapingure Charumbira, how you doing? Welcome to the
Hey,
space.
mushe angojes, thank you so much for the opportunity. And ndinonzwa kufara zvikuru.
Aiwa, mirai ngoma, aiwa, mirai. I thought kuti muri mwana, muri one of the young people.
Aiwa, ndoda kutobatsira ipapa angojes. Ndiri
Aiwa,
kutoda kutobatsira.
mirai. No,
Okay?
mirai. Because ninge open a space, open and ninge from 8. Saka regai tingotizo ninge vataure. And then, I'll give you the opportunity
Ango
Okay,
after
thank
Gerard,
you.
that. Yeah, I mean, ninge muripo. Right, anyway.
Ango,
Yes.
I've noticed that the sitting Secretary General for Zinasu, Munashe, is in the listener. So you can activate the mic, comrade. Can you speak to them?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I've seen him. Mkoma Manash, I've sent you an invite. Please, if you can respond, to that invite. And I send the invite is also. So that if you can, respond, to that invite. If there any things were good is on it, like I say. One thing, that you guys, you've spoken about, which is quite, profound, is the fact here, Kuti, I think I was speaking, on that to say, Kuti, the knowledge, is not there. People need to understand what cab 3 means, for them, because this thing is a wholesale thing that is making changes on a grand scale. And Nimurkona. Saka people need to understand everything that this thing is, touching on. It is not only touching on the Emerson Mnangagwa, issue, but there's a whole host of, areas that thing is touching, and that right there needs to be explained, to the people so that they see why this thing must be killed, why this thing must not see the light of the day. When you see them trying to rush this thing through in the manner which they're trying to do, rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, as now chain name kati, there's no worry, as now chain, because when you've got something that is going to be reducing specialized, protection, like what Cynthia, was talking about, when you want something that is going to lead to fewer independent avenues for reporting, like what Cynthia was talking about. When you see something that's going to be impacting the democratic participation long term, there's everything that is wrong, that thing. And it is that conversation that needs to be had. It's not that conversation that needs to get to the people, because the things that this thing is touching, they don't matter, and it needs to be explained. We need to explain this thing, to the people. We have been trying to explain, this thing, to the people, but each time that, we try to do that, we don't get, too much, buy-in in terms of people, coming through and, getting, the conversation, going. And the result, we all saw it. We all saw the result pama-consultations anga ari kuitika, kuti you could see kuti ma-consultations here, they were not going in anyway. And some of the contributions that were being made, like what you're saying with this of an help you assign 103 whatever, you could see it was just a charade, it was just rubbish, it was just nonsense. It was an exercise that just gobbled in money. And you know, some of these, MPs that were presiding over those things, they are big, on those coupons, they're big, on those allowances that, they get. Where to them is just in another employment, gimmick, or another gimmick that makes them put money in their pocket. They were not even interested in whatever it is, that was going on. So we need to speak up. We need to tell them that we need people to understand that whatever it is that is going on must be resisted. And it starts with conversations. Wherever you are, in your societies. You see, there are things, that we get asked. In the face of the intimidation, in the face of the arrest, in the face of everything, that is going on, what is it that, we're supposed to be doing as a young people? We can't be spending, endless nights, in prison, in jails, etc., etc. But there are things, that you young people, can be doing. Engage, encourage each other. Make connections in the communities where you are. Don't think about, multitudes of people, but those small connections, that you make, the word gets spread from one community, to the other, one community to the other. Stay connected as a young people. You guys, you're coming from, from Zinasu. One is coming from Chinoi. The other is coming from UZ. The other one is going to be coming from the women's, whatever. The other one is going to be coming from this university. You guys, you've got a network, that exists. Stay connected. Use those networks to stay connected and make sure that the communication is strategic. Make the communication strategic, so that you can get to the people that you think may be in the remotest of areas. But whenever when you succeed in creating those networks, networking, ladies and gentlemen, is very important. It doesn't only work when it comes to you looking for a job. Networking is part and parcel of a societal aspect where people get to connect in your silos, in your small groups. But what you're doing, right there, you're not only just connecting, to people, but you're passing on a message. And that has to happen. That has to happen.
And talking of networking, guys, let's network and advertise this space. We've got over nearly 150 people, and there's only quite a few retweets. Something that doesn't take a lot of effort just to retweet this space. Let's just retweet this space, get as many people involved in the conversation as much as we can. So it's just me pleading with you guys, listeners, speakers, please, can we retweet the space? And also on the Jumbotron there, I've put the message for the demonstration that is happening tomorrow in London. Feel free, guys, to retweet it as well. Let's just spread the word. There's at least something that you can do, at least, just to spread the message. I know a lot of people will be going there, but if you can't, at least let the timelines be flooded with that, just to make people aware. Right. Thanks, Uncle.
Right. I mean, I've got only 2 minutes before we open, the floodgates. Can I come to Cynthia? Cynthia, is there anything else, that you want to say?
Yes, Uncle. So
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to comment more on the issue of solidarity on this crisis that you are facing right now. I think we have different movements, as it has been mentioned. We have CDF, we have DCP, we have guys from Zenasu, we have the civil society. And I would like to believe that the struggle is for us all, and we can't personalize the struggle that we have. So I urge the movements that we have, and as individual, to join in solidarity, in spreading the word, in supporting each and everyone who is rejecting this bill. We need to really to work together. I believe that each one of us, as individual and as a movement, we have different strengths that we have. We can collaborate. We can collaborate and work together to ensure that we win this. We are not in a race with each other as movements, or who is going to win. Is it CDF who is pushing more volumes? But we are in race with ZANU-PF in the government of Zimbabwe, which is suppressing our rights as citizens of Zimbabwe. So I believe if we work together, we will be able to win this. And let's also not forget our comrades who are arrested. Let's continue standing in solidarity with them. Let's call out their names so that people know what is happening. I was charged to learn that Daniel, if not mistaken, was abducted, but we never heard of such things. It's because that we are not spreading enough information about what's happening to our comrades out there. But I believe if we are able to speak out on these issues, we will be able to assist each other and offer solidarity. I believe he said he's not in a position to talk about the experiences. I believe it's still the trauma that he encountered during those abductions. So if you are to able to offer solidarity, whatever solidarity form that we can offer each other, it will be helpful. And we cannot afford to be divided as people, as citizens of Zimbabwe right now, because the system will take advantage of that. We need to work together on this issue. I believe if we do that, we will be able to win this crisis that you are facing. Am I still audible, Uncle?
Oh yes, oh yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much, for that. I do appreciate. Thank you very much, for that.
Lastly, before you go, I just want to appreciate you for hosting us as young people from CDF and other young people who were also able to join and speak. We hope that this conversation doesn't end here, but we'll continue to be having more spaces where we'll be airing out our issues and voicing out on the issue of amendment bill number 3. And we still need support in terms of dissemination of information, because I believe we have other people from rural areas where information didn't even get there. But I think the only information they got is just being ferried with buses to go to town so that they can just cause chaos. But they are not even informed what Constitution Amendment Bill number 3 means to them and how it affects them. So we need we need solidarity and information dissemination so that especially the people are from marginalized communities can also be able to to contribute to this national discourse. And I believe the platform to contribute, the Parliament of Zimbabwe, is still open. So I urge young people and everyone to send their contribution, and those who still need assistance to be able to maneuver and how they can send their contribution will be able to assist them. Thank you. Thank you. My submission and here.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. And I'm opening up, the conversation, to the floor. People, can still come in and react to the conversation, that we have had. If there are still young people who want to join, the conversation, you can still, come in. I've just added, a bit there on the London demo that is happening, tomorrow. I understand, there are folks, that want to come through and, speak, to that. But Cynthia, thank you very much, and your team for that. Nkoma Distro, thank you very much as well for making sure.
Issues regarding the human rights issues. And speaking of women's issues, I believe that these are complex issues which need an independent commission, which is going to strictly focus on issues which has to do and focus only on women, because it being under the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, it defeats the whole purpose of how are we going to track much progress regarding women's issues, because here on the women's issues we're talking much on we are talking much on issues to do with women given enough spaces to lead, to represent, and they lead to their full capacity. We're dealing with a lot of issues also to do with the health sector issues, in terms of we have issues under this issues like the maternity health care, which I believe that it has been an issue which has been ignored for a long time. Women still remains to face difficulties in terms of health and service delivery in this regard. But I think we need to speak more on this clause for it, and we need to fight as young women that it remains an independent commission. And I also add to what I have been witnessing, or I have monitored during the constitutional amendment bill hearings that happened recently, especially in Bulawayo, where I stay. So I'm going to comment much on what happened in this area. So when we are speaking of women's rights, we need to ensure that we are being respected, and we are being given much space to represent ourselves. But what I witnessed during those hearings, with the state of our economic situation, you notice that women remain at the disadvantage, and the only means of survival that they have is through vending in marketplaces. But what I witnessed in Flower is very, very sad, because women were being ferried to go and just cause chaos in those hearings. So you find out that the space were really fully pegged, but it doesn't mean that the people that were there were were to were there to speak out on this issue of the amendment bill number 3. But there are the women who were there just to who are coerced or being forced by ZANU-PF members, because for you, let me touch on this one. For you to get like a vending space, especially in Bulawayo 6th Avenue, I have noticed how they used the ZANU-PF card. So you have to be supporting like ZANU-PF for most of them. And even if you don't support, but we have to pretend to be supporting those guys. So now that they need support, everyone was forced to go and to those to fill up the holes. Now, with as young people who wanted to speak out on the issue, we didn't have much capacity or the space to go and speak out on the issue, because it was fully packed with women. Not that they wanted to speak out, but they were just there just to fill up the space, and there were ZANU-PF members who were just there to cause chaos. I think you also what happened, and we ended up having young people being adapted during those processes, and they also had a signal code to say if signal number 3, you're allowed to speak. But as young people, we didn't get that platform also to air out on what we wanted to say, which I believe the process already was sham, because with the way that it was pegged and with the population of Bulawayo, you can't say that our voices on this regard are determined by a mere hearing which happened and which was controlled by ZANU-PF guys.
Right.
So
Right. You know what? I want to pose, this question, to you. If you were to speak directly to the MPs, because we have been told that this process is now going to the MPs. We came out of that consultation, period, which was marred by violence. We also, what happened. But now it is moving to Parliament. If you get an opportunity to speak directly to those policymakers, what would you tell them?
So one thing I would say to these parliamentarians, I would say, as a young person, I believe that the power is within us, the people of Zimbabwe, and everyone. So in whatever decision, whatever they do, they should remember that we, the people of Zimbabwe, have much power, and whatever decision they make, it should serve our best interest as Zimbabweans and as young people and as Zimbabweans. And I believe the majority of us are rejecting the Constitution Amendment Bill number 3, and they should respect that, and they should work with us in rejecting the Constitution Amendment Bill, and they shouldn't cut corners regarding this matter. And we don't want a situation where the processes will be manipulated, but we want them to be their voices, because we entrusted them with the power to represent us. So in whatever they are going to do, they should represent the power of the people. And as the people of Zimbabwe, are going to we are saying we are rejecting the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. But being specific on the gender issue, because there's this school of thought that says that it's one of those issues that were just thrown in there, and it will be used as a trade-off to say that, okay, we are scrapping this, we are removing this, from the amendment, as a way of appeasing, others. What are do you think, that is what is about, to be happening here? Because when they merge such an important institution, merge it with another institution, and no longer and making it no longer be a standalone thing, there's a lot that is going to be happening with the with that development, in terms of dilution of protection and accountability, in terms of loss of self independent or platforms for the survivors. You've spoken about you as a young person, you fear that there's going to be that increased vulnerability for young girls and young women, etc. In term, if you were to be talking to these guys about this thing, would you call for them to just scrap the whole thing out of it? Or you are saying that is one example why Cab 3 should never see the light of the day? I isn't there.
Hi, Uncle Gerard. My
Okay.
phone was breaking. Can you please repeat your
All
question?
right. No, I'm saying, given the issues that you're raising,
Yes.
does this then justify the call to say the whole Cape 3 must be scrapped? Because talking about an important institution like this gender commission thing being diluted or being removed, it strikes at the heart of women's existence in terms of their rights in Zimbabwe. So if they are wanting to be touching that thing, it then defeats the whole purpose. So is that the reason why you're saying the whole bill is not fit for purpose, and you're calling for the scrapping of this whole bill?
Yes, you are right on that matter. I say we reject the whole amendment bill, because you are not looking only onto the dismantling of the Gender Commission and its effect, especially on in terms of women's rights issues. But we have also witnessed on how through the amendment bill, women continue to suffer, especially on issues that I've mentioned on what happens during the hearings, where women have to stop working so that they go and chant ZANU-PF
Slogans and and everything.
ZANU-PF slogan and just say amendment bill. And if you are to ask that person, what do you mean by amendment bill number 3? Like right now, we're seeing Kombi's t-shirt has written amendment bill number 3 bill. And if you are to ask what do you mean by amendment bill, what's there to say you are in support of? They don't give us a proper answer. It's just ZANU-PF bill. So the amendment bill number 3 is not only about the dismantling of the Gender Commission and how we see like women's issues will be violated, but we have witnessed through those through the processes of women being used on the forefront to support the amendment bill number 3. I heard someone speaking from, I don't know, the Mashonaland East, where they had to force women. They were taken, in fact, where they were having a church gathering to go and support the amendment. You are just being taken somewhere. They are going to you are told that you are attending a church meeting, and boom, we are being told that you should be chanting amendment bill number
Bill
3.
number 3.
Number 3, Bo. You see,
Right.
so it's not like there are a whole lot of issues how women are just being violated through these whole processes, and we've seen how those in power